Hi, hi, Tian, Yuan. This is Lena. Thank you very much for the email you sent me and for working on the Canaries, a confectioner's paradise. So you asked very good questions, very important questions. So I'm gonna try and answer them for level 1 in this video. If you like the format, if you find this useful, please let me know and I'll record levels 2, 3, and 4. If not, I'll send you written instructions or written answers. So you just let me know. Okay, so the Canary is a confectioner's paradise. When I designed this game, I didn't want to invest too much time in it because I wasn't sure what it's going to be. So I'm slowly going to design information and populate it. So it's in shell format right now, but I'm going to add a layer, the layer of instruction and feedback, because that's what you actually asked for. So the aesthetics are very flexible. We can change them very easily. I'm going to do the Canaries for now. I like it, but if you have better ideas, you're more experienced than me in what kind of goes and so on. So the aesthetics very flexible. I'm not going to worry too much about the details, but I do need, when I'm working with something, I do need to have a concept. So the concept is Canaries, the Canary Islands. Now, I'm not expecting you to design the graphics for Canaries, but I'm just going to try and send you the answers to your questions. So, so in this video, I'm going to use the Canaries as the aesthetics. I'm going to show you the instructions and feedback and actions, activities that the learner will do. And I'm going to tell you about what I plan to write. So I haven't written the material yet, but I will write the material as the last step in the game. Okay, so let's start. As I'm planning this, I changed the islands just, because I was sketching. So this doesn't mean that I want the Canary Islands exactly as they are on the map, or I want to create a different island, but I want islands. So the concept of islands, so that there's swimming and running and so on. So that's one part of the aesthetics that I'm not, it's not set in stone, is what I'm trying to say. Now, the first step in level 1 is to motivate the learner by giving them some points and familiarizing them with the first map. So the first map shows the islands, and it shows points on the islands, 10 locations where the learner can consider to build their factory. So the instruction is to click on a listing and read the advertisement. So this is an example of an advertisement. So I would have to write 10 advertisements. Now maybe you'll say, oh, Lena, maybe 5 is better. Okay, so I'll just write 5. So this is why I'm not writing 10 for now. So the game aspect of it, the game component, the points, like all the learner has to do is click on one location. They will get 100 points, 100 points, like it'll be like boom or something like that. And they will see an advertisement. Now, advertisements are always full of good news, right? That you're trying to sell something. So this is the first step, very surface, the surface of the locations. And we introduce a learner autonomy activity. So they have on the side, they can click on a notepad and then they start recording all the information. Now this could be graded to something very kind of, we call it guided task, guided instructions, controlled instructions. So I can give the learner a table with locations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 10. And then I can tell them, okay, so you need to get the price, you need to get rent, or you're going to buy, rent, or so it's very kind of specific tables on both sides. Or I can give them a table that they can do like locations 1, 2, 3 to 10, and then on the side just notes. Or you can just give them notes, like a tool for them to record things. For me, I prefer locations and notes under each location. So I think that's a really useful thing to do. I would imagine the learners are at that level. So they'll write their own words, what they understood, and so on. Because this is very important in decision making, and it's very important practice to teach students, you know. Like when we do our academic work, we have to, every time we read something, we have to write down the source, right? So that, because otherwise at the end of it, you're thinking like, where did I learn this? So this is like the kind of learner training, we call it. Okay. So the instructions, click on a listing and the points come very easy. Just like you're gonna get 1,000 points just for one click. Clicking, 10 clicks actually. Okay. And then now they have 1,000 pounds, let's say, 1,000 points. Then they have 1 minute to visit each site in person. So the way to go around the island, to move around the island, is running, cycling, and swimming. So it's like a triathlon kind of thing. But it's very manual, very basic for level 1. So what they need to do now, after they've checked the advertisements, they go around visiting the sites. So they go there, they inquire, like, questions. So the Canary can help them like with questions, ask if somebody else rented the factory, and then they can get that information. And they continue to fill in the notes in their notebook. Now, the nice thing about this, and you asked about timing. So they have 1 minute to go from A to B, and they're going to do that 10 times. So the rush of the race is going to be for 1 minute, and then they stop and take notes, or like reflect, right? Isn't that what you said about reflection? And I mean, kind of talking to you is very helpful to me. I didn't think about reflection. So this is going to be a mix of rushing, excitement, and then reflection. Now, every time they click on one of these, they get a map. So the instructions were you have to run, cycle, and swim. And now they have a map that shows them that you need to be running up here and then cycling there. Of course, they don't have to control it, but the game will take them there, right? So then they swim this way. Now, every time they complete, they visit a location successfully within 1 minute, they get 150 points. So there is a possibility that they don't make it there on time. They don't get 150 minutes, 150 points, but they do get the information. So this is the kind of, the first one was very easy points, and now it's harder points. Now there is a possibility we can make it like 150, you're late by 2 seconds. For each second you lose something. But I think it's nicer to just make it like, oh, hard luck, you lost this listing. So there's a timer, and they click start when they're ready, and then they do, the map is revealed, and then they just click start and the game takes them, we'll have to think about that, because oh, no, they're gonna be, yeah, because they could stop. I'll show you now. Forgot about that. Okay. So see what happens on the journey. On the journey, they can stop and collect bronze cocoa pods. There's like 3 of them, and each one is worth 1,000. That's on the running path. And then they can get silver sugar canes. It's 2,000 each, and there's like, they can get 6 of them. Of course, this information we know, but they don't. And then there's 3 gold coins in the water. Again, these are things we can think about. If you have other ideas, I'm sure you do, you can do them. Because to be honest, I don't play games. I don't, I'm not a gamer. I'm just an educator. Yeah, so the total points possible are 300,000. So that's another fun part of the game, because they're going to be, if you hear the noises, I put the brown, so maybe the background for the path will be like brown stuff, like trees with cocoa pods, brown cocoa pods. Cycling could be like between, sugarcane fields, whatever you call them. And then the water, obviously, you have like swooshing water. Yeah, so this is how I imagine it, but you know what works best. Okay. Yeah, so from here they get a lot of points. So you see, if they stop to collect these things, they will lose time. So this is where the penalty will be. So maybe they'll decide to do it instead of a minute, they'll take 2 minutes and collect everything. And maybe this is something they will learn and then decide, you know what, let me take my time and collect all these things because it's a lot more than 150 points. Yeah, and that's one of the things that you mentioned, the level. So they're getting better at the game because they're making decisions like, oh, do I want to finish in time or do I want to collect everything on the way? So that's how they game. And so from one to the next journey, they're going to gain knowledge in that way, and that's enjoyable. Okay, so now here in this step, so I'm not calling them level, they're steps. The next step or next stage, the canary would advise them, they say, before you decide on a location, you have to think about the zone they're in. So the learner learns something new, which is zoning. Now we know commercial and residential when like in city planning. Now here they have to learn about light industries, heavy industries, agriculture, and so on. Now in order to get there, they have to, or find the information, they have to give up money. So some of the points, some of the points they collected, they will lose some of it. But here they know the value. It's very important to decide or to know the zone, so the value of information in this case. So every time they unlock a location, they lose, or like they have to pay 1,000 points. They have to give up 1,000 points. So that's the unlock thing. And they'll continue writing the information in their notepad. And here we have the decision making. So the instructions. You have 1 minute to pick out 2 properties you are serious about. So they went and checked everything out. They know the zoning, and now they pick out two properties. Now we know that 4 of the properties are okay. All of these 4 are in industrial zones, but they could pick 2 and 6, for example, in which case they will lose 1,000 points, and the canary will say, try again. This zone, you can't build a factory here. So, and this is what happens in real life. Sometimes if you pick a location and you paid like a down payment, you lose it. So we can call these down payments. So eventually they're going to pick 2 from the ones that are allowed, really. So they can try as many times as they like. Okay. Now, once they have the 2, they have 5 minutes to read the documents provided and decided on one factory. So now these documents is the documents I will provide later. After we figure out how many I need, what they're going to include in exactly, things like that. So the contract. Now here, this stage is important for learning terminology. So let's say, and it's going to be a document, but it's with hyperlinks. So it's going to be a boring looking document, like most contracts are, but let's say there's a term that the learner needs to know in order to make the right decision. Let's say a rental contract, and it has the term a 5-year upward review. So they need to know that means every year, for the duration of 5 years, the rent will be reviewed only to go up, not to go down. So this means that there might be rent increases for the following 5 years. So what will look like, the contract will be black on white, and then there's going to be terminology that they can click on and see the definition. Based on that, they can decide whether they want to go with that property or not. So at this point, they only have two property to compare. So we've eliminated anything that's not in the right zone, and they choose. They do have choice. It's not like these are the only possibilities. Out of the 4, they chose 2, and now they're going to choose 1. So, and this is where terminology will come in. Now, terminology is very boring to learn, especially if you're sitting at your desk and there's no real life context, right, or situation. So the game is going to provide this real life context, or like semi-real, because the learner is engaged in the game, and now it's time for them to learn terminology. So they will learn different terminology. It could be about the state amenities or anything like that. So I haven't decided. I'm reading on what it could be, but it's not yet. I haven't written it yet, basically, but it's coming. Now, based on all the decisions, the learner, based on the points, they will have a credit score. I didn't want to do like money, because points first of all, points are more fun. Money, you have the currency problem. So points are good, and they work for any aesthetics or any concept we want to go with. Like if you're on the moon, your credit score will mean something on the moon. But if it's dollars or something like that, you might want to change it to, I don't know, a moon dust or something. Like I said, I'm not very good at gaming. But anyway, so you have 2 minutes to read the loan information provided. So this is a chance for, and this is very important for people working in industry, they have a chance to learn about types of loans. So they read some brochures, and they have to, again, understand the different terminology, and maybe do some calculations. They can do they can continue to find information here. Actually, come to think about it, so the notes, they don't need the notes anymore right now because they selected one. But what they can do is calculate the interest from loans they take from the bank. And based on that, they make the decision. So far, this is something that anyone who's starting a business, especially like a physical business where you have to have a location. Manufacturing is very interesting, I think, because you can't have there's no alternative. If you want to make goods, whether it's food or, mobile phones or anything, there's no alternative to having a physical space and to actually go and check sites. And, the only different thing is that's been done for the longest time, which is globalization. You go and build factories in different sites. And this is why it's important to have the zoning, because the information, the concept of zoning is more important than memorizing what the zones are in the USA or in China. It doesn't matter, because you might end up going somewhere else. So you have to know that, let me check that. So you need to check that. And this is why the concept is important. And this is why decision making is very important in this game. Okay, so if you have any comments, any questions, let's say you say, you know what, we don't have time this semester to do all 4 levels, and we can work with this one, because it's a complete educational experience. So you just let me know. I'm having fun doing this, and I really want to see what you, design. I've never had a game design before, so letting go of the outcome, just let me know what works for you, and I'll keep providing you with anything you need. Thank you, and let me know what you think.